So today we're here to talk about trading with global retailers. So obviously some familiar faces here, but if you don't know me, my name is WIZZ. I'm the founder of WIZZ&CO, a brand and retail strategy agency. I've spent nearly 20 years in retail. I was head of beauty buying at Selfridges. Prior to that, was buyer for accessories, fashion and lifestyle. I've also worked with retailers such as Ocado, Next, Sainsbury's and Fenwick. So worked on that buying side and kind of strategic consulting side across multiple different types of retailers and product categories. I've also sat on the other side of the table to buyers. I was sales director for the Zoho House Group for Cowshed and Zoho Home, where I traded and managed buyer relationships and pitched to retailers myself, with retailers such as John Lewis, Liberty, Space&NK, Mr Porter and Anthropology. I now support global brands to brand founders to increase sales and gain market share through their positioning, through D2C, and how to scale with global retailers. And ultimately, how do you create the hype required in the market to stand out? I've been pitched to thousands of times, as you might imagine, being a buyer from new brands, and also sat through thousands of strategy meetings with the brands that I was stocking at Selfridges, with them presenting to me each season how they were going to trade and maximise the business. And that's what the focus is going to be today. It's really going to be about brands that are already trading with retailers and how can you really maximise those partnerships that you've got. At any one time, I have been trading hundreds of suppliers, making quick decisions on how to increase sales or manage underperforming brands. Just to kind of give a bit of context, at Selfridges, when I was sort of buying for beauty, I'd managed 400 brands, very time poor, as you can imagine, a lot of supplier relationships. So meetings, it was very important the meetings were very proactive from my point of view to be able to juggle that. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of those themes today. So if we're not connected on LinkedIn, please come and follow me. You'll all be on my email list now as well, which is great, so we can keep in touch. Like I said, please do pop into the chat your business and your name and what you're here for today, because I'd love to be able to look at those afterwards and get to know you a bit better as well. So today we're going to be talking about how are you maximising your sales with your retail partners. We're going to learn how to increase sales and better understand the buyer. So the 3 mistakes brands make when trading with large retailers, so you can avoid them, what buyers want to know at strategy meetings, and gain real insight into how to navigate that buyer relationship. And also what to think about with retail versus D2C as the landscape is evolving. So I'm going to go through the masterclass today, and then at the end I will be sharing something very exciting, which is an announcement about a new way to work with me. I'm really excited about this, so please do stay on the end, because there'll be a bonus for joining live as well. I always really appreciate the people that join me live. So if you're looking for extra support on how to trade through Christmas and increase sales with your retailers in 2024, support on navigating the buyer relationship, and if you want me on hand to answer any questions that come up in that day-to-day, week-to-week trading, which very often do, I'll be on hand as well. It's going to be the most interactive and accessible way to work with me yet, and an opportunity to tap into my expertise and a community as well. If that's not for you, that's also okay, because you will be leaving today with lots of juicy information from this masterclass as well. So I will be doing a Q&A after the masterclass, so please do jot down your questions as well, or leave them into the chat. So let's kick off. Brilliant, we've got a few comments coming in here, so keep them going. So the 3 mistakes brands make when trading with retailers, so you can avoid them. What I see very often is brands launch with retailers and they assume the brand is going to fly off the shelves or off kind of the digital shelves. Ultimately, trading with a retailer is a two-way partnership, and the more that you actively trade with that retailer, the more business that you're going to get from them. Honestly, I saw a huge divide between the brands that were actively trading the business at the retailers I worked with and those that didn't. And so we're going to touch on all of the different elements. No, there's lots of elements, but probably not all of them, but a lot of the elements of the pros and cons and what you can be doing to be more proactive today. Another big mistake was bombarding buyers with emails and meeting requests with no agenda. Like I said, buyers are very time poor, so being really proactive with those meetings is really important. Don't always expect a response from them. It's about really finding the right way to communicate with them based on their personality, but also on their capacity and their KPIs as well. I'll be explaining a lot of that today. And my third tip of what not to do is think about your distribution strategy. Don't expand too quickly. Don't have too many retail partnerships if you don't have the team, the budget, the energy to be able to manage them properly, because ultimately you'll be losing sales within each retailer and you'll be spreading yourself far too thin. And also you need to really think about how you're leveraging your D2C business with your retail partnerships. It should be a happy marriage, and it's an opportunity to accelerate the growth of your D2C as well by working with retailers. It's not a competition, which people often see that it can be. So we're talking about how you can balance your D2C channels, so they're complementary rather than competing. So what do buyers want to know at strategy meetings? So you should be meeting with your buyers at least twice a year to be able to present to them how you're going to trade the business for the season ahead. All of the big brands are doing this. And if you're on today and you're working from a big brand, you know this is something you're prepping for a long time. And it's really important to be tailoring this to each retailer that you're working with as well. If you're more of an emerging brand and you're thinking, I've never heard of this before, then this is a great opportunity for you to be able to go to the buyer with your ideas, an update on your business, and also get some feedback back from them about what's performing well and what's working. So when you do have this opportunity to have a strategy meeting with a retailer, it definitely should be more than just a presentation style. I've sat through so many where it's the salesperson or the sales team or the marketing team has just been presenting to me for a really long time, or multiple people in a team are presenting. As we all know, our attention span is limited, more limited than ever, I feel. So these meetings should be really proactive, and actually the less that you're presenting, the more you're going to get engagement back from that buyer as well. So again, you probably will have a lot to say, but again, it's about being really streamlined with what you are presenting, not saying too much. And this is where I work with a lot of brands on what is going to be presented and why, and what is going to be the most interesting information for the buyer. It's really crucial that you're giving them what they want. If it's information that's kind of generic, that can be seen anywhere, or is kind of what's happening in the general business and isn't specific to them, of course it's important for them to know some of that, but actually it's how long you spend on that compared to what is going to be unique for them. The more interactive the session is and less presentation style, the more feedback you will get from that buyer. If you spend the whole time that you have with them just presenting, you're going to come out of that meeting not knowing anything different than when you went in. So it's really important to remember that. Really start to think about how you can keep the buyer engaged in those meetings. So going to them with multiple new marketing and trading ideas of how you're going to increase and grow sales. If you're going with lots of different ideas, you're going to get some feedback with them, and you're going to get a steer on which ones they think is better. And you can start to understand what's important to them, what's important to their business, and what will help you drive the business forward. Again, I had people that would come with just one idea, and you'd be like, okay, cool, it's okay, but actually it doesn't give much flexibility or inspiration for what else is happening. I'd have brands that would come with no ideas and then just expect to be spoon-fed of what to do. And then you get brands that would come with lots of ideas, and then this is a great opportunity to get the buyer engaged, get them excited, and they start to go, I like this, I don't like that, let's try this, we've done this with another brand. And then you start to get this kind of really valuable feedback conversation and some actions about how you're going to drive and increase sales and move them forward. So again, this is what is really important about making sure you prep for these strategy meetings, and you don't necessarily have a generic presentation for every single retailer, that you're tailoring it to them and what that buyer's personality is. And I do this with independent brands, but I was doing this, for example, for one of the biggest global corporations, and I was live streamed across the world to sales and marketing teams just last month, talking about what impresses a buyer and what to be putting into those strategy packs. Because even the biggest brands can have help on this, and can just seeing things from a different point of view from that buyer's perspective can be really, really powerful. What buyers really want to see is what you will be doing differently with them to the rest of the market. It's competitive out there, we all know that. There's more brands out there than ever, but there's also more retailers out there than ever. And all of the retailers are generally selling brands. So what is their point of difference? So they have to be creating points of difference with the brands they stock, with the experience that they're providing, with the marketing campaigns that they're doing. So actually, if you as a brand can help create innovation, create exclusivity, create something that's different to their competitors, they're going to be much more excited and engaged with that. So that's what you need to really be focusing on. I get a lot of people that say, wow, but I can't do that for everybody. But then you don't have to do that with everybody. Really start to think about who is your key retail partner, who is your top tier, and how can you really focus on one retail partnership that you believe is the best for positioning, best for sales growth, and select that retailer to be your #1 growth partner with. Making sure you're communicating successes for your brand that's happening outside of the retailer as well. This is often forgotten about by brands. And this, you don't have to spend a long time on this. It could just literally be a page in your presentation pack, something that's very easy for the buyer to read, not necessarily something that you need to go through in detail. But sometimes these can spark ideas. And also, it's very important for you to be demonstrating to the buyer that your brand is growing. Because if they see what you've been doing outside of their business and they think it's not aligned to what's happening with theirs, within their business, they might think, hang on, there's a disconnect here. Let's deep dive into this. Let's see how we can potentially grow that a bit more. They could say, we've had this great launch that's doing really, really well. And actually the launch that you've had with that same product with that retailer or that marketing campaign hasn't done very well. They could go, hang on, there's something different here. We're missing an opportunity. So buyers are all about sales opportunity. They're all about growth. So giving some indications of that is really key. I've known so many brands that have done digital marketing campaigns or done brand activations and tagged a retailer and advertised that the brand has stopped there or kind of driven traffic there, but then not told the buyer about it. Again, it's a missed opportunity. It's something that's going to impress the buyer. It's something that the buyer's going to give them confidence in your brand and your business, that you're really, I suppose, driving the trade with them as well. So again, think about how you can weave in some of those successes without kind of going overboard and kind of dwelling on everything that you're doing. Buyers will also want to have the confidence that you are going to be achieving the sales targets that they've set for you. So again, having that conversation, what those sales targets are, how are you performing versus the rest of the department, have your sales rankings gone up and down, and they don't necessarily want to see a week by week detail of this is exactly what you're going to do, and for you to go through that in detail. Some might, if your brand's underperforming, then yeah, there'll be more of a crisis meeting and an action plan, and you'll need to be able to demonstrate that to kind of, I suppose, keep your space within the store, and say how you're going to pull back a deficit. But they need to have the confidence that you're doing that. So again, how are you demonstrating that to them in these meetings? How can you say there's certain points of the season that you're going to be really driving additional trade and marketing activity, and how can you collaborate on those kind of key moments to really be pushing and increasing the sales as well? Some retailers will want to see joint business plans that align with their KPIs as well. So again, understanding how they want to work, how much information they want to see. And sometimes this will really depend on the size of your business within their store. If you're in the top 5, for example, it's really important that they're getting this level of detail. If you're one of the smaller ones, they might not have as much airtime to go into this level of detail. But again, it's really important that you're demonstrating that you know how to grow the sales with them. because generally you don't want to be bottom of the pack and in decline. So it's using these meetings to be able to have that two-way conversation and really come up with a strategy and a plan for trading the business into an increase in sales on the previous year when you meet with them. And I'm going to put in a few kind of little cheeky tips today as well that will really help build your relationship as well. Is never run over time. If you can give the buyer back some time, they will appreciate this and more likely to have regular meetings. I know it's hard when you're a new brand and you're trying to pitch to retailers. Sometimes it can still be hard to get that airtime with the buyer, even when you're trading with them, because they are looking after multiple brands. So again, trying to understand how many categories they look after, how many brands they look after is really important. Often I was having 8 to 10 meetings a day. They'd be overlapping. I'd be jumping in and out. This is without the 200 emails when I get back to my desk, the 100 pictures from new brands a week that me and the team would be getting. So actually, it's a chaotic job. And having lots of meetings for meetings' sake is something the buyer doesn't want to be doing. They want those meetings to be short, proactive, and have a result that comes from them, and that you to be driving that result. But if you can say, look, let's have a short meeting. I mean, if you get an hour, fantastic. But if you can give them 10 minutes back, they'll remember that. They'll be more likely to meet you again. Or let's have a quick 30-minute meeting and you make it 25 minutes. Having a few of those on a more regular basis actually could be more powerful for you. If you have an allocated time and go over that, the next time you ask for that meeting, they'll be like, oh, I haven't got time, and it always goes on longer. So it's really about reading the room, reading the person, and honestly, that's a great tip to be able to try and give a bit of time back as well. So how to navigate buyers' relationships. The mystical buyer. Again, people get really, I see so many people, again, from the big brands to small brands, that get frustrated with that buyer relationship. So I want you to really think about putting yourself in their shoes. And that's what one of the things I want to talk to you about today is about that buyer and how you can get to know them better. Buyers are often very creative. They're forecasting, they're looking into the future, they're looking at the trends, and they're buying in advance. So they're very creative from that point of view. But they're also very commercial. They are having to drive sales increase year on year. They're looking at their profit. They're trading their business every day, every week, every month, looking at 6 months ahead. So really, when you are meeting with them and when you're having these strategy meetings and you're thinking about your building a relationship with them, making sure you're always playing to these 2 points, that creativity and that commerciality as well. And people often do one or the other. So really think about how you can play against both as well when you're presenting in those meetings, and when you are meeting with them or having a phone call. So putting yourself in their shoes and seeking to understand their role, their pressures and their KPIs will ultimately, how can you support them to do their job and build stronger relationships is really, really key. Generally, buyers will be focusing on top performing and bottom performing brands. So actually, if you're not hearing from them, maybe you're in the middle, and that also isn't necessarily a bad thing. Once they've obviously set their sales plans and what they think they'll take for the season, there's then the reality of the stock coming in, the activations happening, the marketing kicking in, and is it hitting those sales plans? So if it's not, and they're not hitting their top line sales plans, they need to quickly make some adjustments, work out why this isn't happening, what's happened to impact this, and so they'll be meeting with those brands to kind of create some kind of action plan. Again, same on top performing brands, something's really working really well, buyers are going to be very quick to jump on that again, trying to reorder, give them more space, push some extra marketing behind it, and things happen kind of in season as well as kind of that kind of what has been pre-planned as well. So buyers are very much looking ahead but also working in the moment as well. So it's really important for them. They're maximising their sales, their profit, and they're de-risking any lost sales and profit. So again, that commerciality of how they react based on kind of what they'd forecast. Again, really thinking about when you are meeting with them, any interim communication and meeting requests, they should be proactive. you should have a reason to have a further meeting. So do outline an agenda as well. I cannot tell you how many people would say, can we have a meeting? And there'd be no agenda, and if there's no reason to meet, why would I when I've got so much to do? Like I said, that buyer's role is crazy. They have a really huge remit, everything from training the business, planning the forward business, leading the strategy for kind of the store and online, because they have to direct all the internal stakeholders on their strategy of the product they've bought, the amount of stock, what they think is going to drive the sales in the business. So they also have all those internal meetings as well. I've got a great 4-part training on understanding the buyer and pitching. So if you haven't watched that, I encourage you to watch that as well, because that really explains a lot more about this buyer's personality. Another tip as well to navigate those buyer relationships is if your sales are under or overperforming, whether that's kind of over the season or if that's week on week, think about sending them a short update by email. It's really helpful to explain to the buyer, A, you know what's going on, and B, the potential reasons why this may be happening, whether that's good or bad, and what actions have been taken or you are going to propose to take to be able to either increase the sales further or to pull back from some of the sales deficit. They might not necessarily reply, but they will have generally read that information. It's also very helpful for them when they are trading the business and having to report to the senior management teams. Buyers are bombarded on Mondays with meetings, sales reports, and they are looking at what's working, what's not, and making reactions. And they too are being challenged on what's working and what's not. So if you are underperforming, they're going to need to explain why that's happened. Is it because you're out of stock? Is it because there's been a decline in a trend? Is it because you didn't have any staff in the store? Is it because there wasn't any stock online? Various different reasonings there could be. I mean, that's just kind of 4 of 20 that I could probably reel off. But explain to them why this has happened. So again, things can be changed and there's a reasoning and they can report back or kind of help support some of that change that needs to happen. Again, if something is doing really well, maybe something that's been an influencer's kind of post has gone viral and they've this massive increase in sales. Potentially they might be selling out of stock, so you need to update them on that. Maybe you've got this huge campaign happening and it's really pushing a certain product. Again, communicate this to them so they can potentially do something about this. So those kind of quick updates, doesn't have to be lengthy emails, just kind of bullet points that will keep the buyer updated. They can report back internally. They might not reply, but then they also might reply if there's something that they can be proactive about changing and implementing, or they'll pass it on to someone else in their team. So it's really important to keep up to date on that. So retail versus D2C. So what should you really be thinking about, as obviously the landscape is evolving massively. We had the pandemic and there was a digital boom. We're now seeing the real craving for everyone going back into physical shopping. It's absolutely huge. And obviously retail partnerships are a great way to be able to get your product into the hands of customers in physical shopping. We're seeing a huge amount of digital fatigue. Digital landscape has changed dramatically, and there's been so many changes in there as well. A big trend I'm seeing the last few months is really how long it's taking to convert people to customers. Those number of touch points of how many times people need to see the brand, or kind of that consideration. How many points of consideration there are is really increasing, or how much research people are doing. People are really thinking about where they're spending their money. So actually it's taking longer to convert to purchases, as well as being that high level of digital fatigue and overwhelm that's out there. So it's really important for you to be thinking about where is the right distribution channel for your brand. Where does your customer want to shop? What is your product type? Is it something that's very easy to pick up and you just needs to be popped in a basket with a big shop, whether that's pharmacy or grocery, or people are buying things in volume, or is it something that's a more considered purchase, that's more luxury, more research and experience has to go into it when people are purchasing? So again, it's really thinking about what are the right distribution channels for you. If you're something that is that pickup purchase, it's really important for you to be in a lot of retailers to be able to get that presence and people to be buying you on a regular basis. But actually, if you want to position yourself as a really luxury brand, then again, it's really important to think about your positioning and the order of approach of your distribution strategy, and potentially not being with too many retailers either. And again, with all of this, really thinking about how you can use it to leverage your D2C business. The cost of customer acquisition on digital is a lot higher. It's taking a lot longer through D2C channels. Your being stocked with retailers can really drive some of that organic traffic and organic sales to your D2C business as well. It can create a really great halo effect as well on your D2C business. So again, it's how you kind of merge those together, which again is why I help a lot of brands really thinking about the two together. And it shouldn't be a competition. It's really important to have both in mind, because if you're getting people to then follow you on social media, you can then try and get people onto the email list and kind of buying from you directly, but also then vice versa as well. If you are stocked with retailers, I see a lot of brands that are scared to promote where they're stocked on their social media or their website, because they think, well, I'll get more margin from my D2C website. But again, this is very short-sighted. It's about giving the customers choice. If they know all the different places they can purchase, it just makes it easier for them. And also, you want to make sure you're really driving that business with your retail partner, because it's very important that your brand succeeds with them and it's growing. Otherwise, there'll be every season kind of the buyers will be looking at their product assortment and seeing what they continue with and what they discontinue with as well. So it's really about how you stay top of mind with customers when you're thinking about your D2C versus retail partnerships, especially in the current economic climate as well. And very often we're currently in obviously a cost of living crisis, and people are really thinking about where they spend their money. So it's really important that you remain top of mind. And that, again, is about those different ways that people can purchase you. Very often people will potentially trade down or obviously buy things that are cheaper, but also people will then treat themselves to more luxuries. Very often there's a band of kind of price point kind of in that kind of mass and middle range that often falls to the wayside, and people think, actually, I'm not going to buy that. So again, you need to make sure that your brand is top of mind and you are that choice that makes somebody feel good and has that emotive connection, that they're like, yes, I'm still going to buy this. I am watching the pennies, but actually this is something that I really enjoy using, something I really want to be purchasing, and it's going to be a treat for me. And that doesn't even have to be something that's a high price point, because people really are considering where they spend their money as well. So my big tip on this as well is really to focus on that kind of emotive connection that you have with your customers, and kind of how you're really proving the reason why they should be buying it, and that kind of fuzzy warm feeling they get when they use your product or they wear your product, kind of whatever that category may be. And really focusing on kind of your retention, your loyalty and your brand advocates through to your D2C channels as well. And again, this could also be built through your retail partnerships as well. It's really important that you're kind of activating campaigns and kind of marketing and trading strategies with those retailers to build retention and loyalty with those retailers. So by sharing marketing campaigns with those retailers and doing things in partnerships with them, and then communicating to your best customers that this is something that you're doing and encouraging them to go into those stores and purchase from those retailers as well, is really powerful. Yes, it can get a bit messy in working out your customer lifetime value or how many times they've purchased with you, but this is less about you tracking analytics, and this is more about what the customer needs and where they want to shop, and really how can they actually, can you get them purchasing more frequently across multiple different channels as well. So they're kind of the main themes that I wanted to go through today. And honestly, my biggest tips for you is really think about preparing for those strategy meetings. I really want you to take that away with you today. You should be spending a good amount of time on the preparation of what the pitch deck looks like, the content that you're putting in there, really thinking about how you're proving the growth value of your brand outside of that retailer, but also with that retailer. So what are you doing that's exclusive with that retailer, that's going to excite them, that's got a point of difference? Making sure you're really keeping an eye on what the retailer is doing with other brands, what's happening in the category that you're trading within with that retailer. And again, within those strategy meetings, you obviously preparing your pitch and presentation, but again, thinking about that, the way you conduct that meeting as well will be really, really important. Making sure it's really proactive, making sure it's a two-way conversation. And I always suggest to people that you can have quite a short presentation with a strategy pack. Generally, when I work with people, I'm like, right, there's way too much in here. And this is a natural thing to happen. As a brand, you have a lot to say. You're immersed in your brand all the time. But actually, if you have too much in there, it can be overwhelming. And then the buyer doesn't really leave that meeting remembering anything. Because if you're bombarded with information, then it's hard to take it in. So what are those key messages that you want to be able to make sure come across within that strategy presentation are going to be really, really key. You can then also have kind of mini pitch packs in the background that actually, if they say, oh, actually, this is interesting, I'd love to know a bit more about that. You can be like, ah, perfect, I can show you a bit more of that in detail. Again, that provides that two-way conversation, and you're starting to learn from the buyer about what interests them, about their customer, about what's working for them within their product assortment as well. Because those are the crucial things you want to leave that meeting with, is what works for them, how does your brand perform against the rest of the business as well, and ultimately understand what you need to be doing and actioning when you come away from that strategy meeting as well. So really think about those three things. And again, that takeaway, think about playing to that buyer's creative and commercial points. So again, what's exciting, new and different for them, the product side, the innovation, the marketing, that's all very exciting. That's the creative side. The commerciality, are they going to hit their sales numbers? What's going to drive the business? They want to see some indication that there's going to be some juicy sales for them coming in the season ahead that they can get excited about as well. So again, play to those 2 points, the creative and commerciality. So that's the key things that I'm going to go through today. I could talk about this for hours, but again, on the topic that I started with, I don't want to overwhelm you today. So I've got, I wanted to give you the key topics that I feel are the most important so you can action those in your business. I will be taking some questions with you, but I first of all want to share a preview invitation, and I'm really, really excited about this. It's like I said at the beginning, and I touched on, it's something that I haven't ever done anything this intimate before, so I'm very excited to share it with you. And if you really are looking to maximize your retail partnerships, then this is for you. So I am going to share my screen because sometimes it's easier to look at things as well as explain them, and then we'll be taking questions after that. So do start popping them in the chat. Okay, so I think everyone should be able to see my screen. So I'm going to be launching, again, a retail mastermind, which will help you scale your business. So it will be joining me and an inner circle, a small community of other people. I will be doing a 12-month program, and it's really going to be focused on scaling with retailers. So like I was talking about today, so there's really key important things. Are you maximizing your trading opportunities with them? Learn what buyers want to see. We'll be going through those strategy meeting decks, and I'll be giving my feedback on those. I'll be telling you how I think to win and structure those. I'll be helping you develop some of those marketing and commercial ideas to increase sales and profit, because you do need to be going with multiple different ideas to those buyers. I'll help you develop your distribution strategy, think about your range planning, any expansion into new retailers or any consolidation of retailers that aren't working well, renegotiating as well. I've worked with a lot of brands on renegotiating, so their retail partnerships are much more profitable. They were able to make their money back kind of within the first month from some of those renegotiations. And ultimately understand how those buyers operate so you can have a more successful relationship. We'll also be focusing on brand building. So again, how can you balance your D2C business and making sure that you're driving your sales through peak trade, whether that's Christmas or maybe your seasonal summer brand, for example. So how do you plan for those peak trading periods for your own channels, but also through retailers? And thinking about your channel strategy, your sales and your profit mix as well. Because ultimately, I see as people expand into retailers, it's about balancing where your sales are coming from, where your profits coming from, and kind of what team you need around you as well. And ultimately, retail insights every day from me or every week, and think more strategically about your business and vision as well. So over 12 months, we'll be having monthly group mentoring. We'll be taking dedicated time to go through your challenges. I'm really excited about this quarterly in-person workshops in London. I think it's more important than ever to get together, meet other people and kind of discuss some of these ideas in person. We'll have quarterly expert guest masterclasses. And the thing I'm most excited about is that we'll have a group chat where you will have me in your pocket, basically. So if you ever have any questions and you think, I don't know how to respond to this, or this problem's come up, we can communicate in between those sessions. We can also stay accountable. And I think we all know how many times that we haven't moved forward with something because we're not sure what to do. So this, I think, is probably one of the most exciting bits about this programme. It's going to be a curated group, so everyone is of a similar level and can learn from each other as well. And also access to kind of experts in my little back book, plus options for direct one-to-ones with me as well if you want more feedback. So we'll be focusing on scaling with retailers, brand building, and your personal business goals. It will be a group of like-minded people, and of course with me and me in your pocket as well. And I know when I work with people, I'm very passionate about their business. People have said it's felt like a friendship before. And it's really, I've seen some very quick wins with people as well. I've worked with this huge brand that was in the red. They had a huge risk of being moved off their shop fit if they didn't pull back their sales deficit. And within 6 months, we'd pulled back the sales deficit and they were in growth and their space in store was protected. So again, it was about really coming up with a lot of new trade and marketing ideas that they could then implement, and then I supported and mentored them through that implementation so they could get their sales back. And again, build back that buyer relationship that was really struggling, because that buyer was like, well, we don't sort it out, we're going to move you. And that was a big problem. So they had to be very proactive and do that themselves. We've worked on tricky conversations, so it's win-win with a brand that had to tell them about another price increase that was within a year. So how we walked through, like how to approach that, how to communicate that. Again, that was causing a huge amount of stress of how to manage that with the buyer. So again, she was able to have that conversation, felt much more confident about it, and it went much more smoothly than she thought. And people generally save money on spending on the right things. There's always lots of things that the retailers throw at you and say, we want you to spend this on marketing. So again, I'm there to support and say, look, let's work through which is the right things based on your budget, your size of brand, and what's going to build the best return on investment, and also build the best relationship with your buyer as well. So yeah, I'm very passionate about the brands I work with. I don't really switch on and off, so I'm always thinking about you. So this is for 12 months. This is the monthly investment. We can do just the mastermind for £350 a month, or you can also have quarterly one-to-ones with me or monthly one-to-ones as well. We have a super early bird rate. These prices are going to be live until the end of this month. If you want to jump on the bandwagon, we'll be starting mid-September. And again, a real appreciation for you joining live today. If you do join live today, you will receive a free brand audit and strategy review with me before this starts. So again, really, if you want to chat about this as well, I have time tomorrow. I've kind of kept my diary free. So if anybody wants to find out and talk some more about this. So here's some more information, a bit of a recap. You can see at the bottom the URL, and I'll put that in the chat as well. So if you do want to join, like I said, you can apply to join here, use this QR code. I love a QR code these days, or email me to secure your place today and receive that brand audit and strategy review with me. Like I said, it's going to be a curated group, so we'll jump on a call, make sure you're the right fit. You can ask me any questions about this as well. And I'm super excited about starting this in September, and kind of really getting under the skin and helping you your business goals and personal goals for the year ahead. Okay, I am going to stop sharing my screen now. And I'm going to take some questions. If you've got any questions on the mastermind, please do put them in the chat. And if you have any questions on the masterclass that we've gone through today, please also put those in. Okay, got the chat here. Hi, Helen, great to see you. How do I get support from retailers as an early stage startup with limited resources and relatively little trading history to get them excited? There's lots of things that you can do. You don't necessarily have to do the marketing campaigns or the marketing contribution and things that they have proposed to you. Again, it's coming up with new ideas, and this is something that I'm quite good at generating them, and we'll be doing this a lot in the mastermind. I think it really depends on which retailers you're stocked with. There's a lot of kind of guerrilla marketing campaigns that I think are quite exciting and interesting to build brand awareness. It's about going to them with some proactive ideas of what you can be doing and what you can be doing that's different, rather than just their standard marketing packages. Because again, they might not be right for you. They might not give you the right ROI, certainly if you haven't got a big budget as well. So what can you be doing that's kind of really driving some of that activation? Can you do pop-ups in their store? Can you get some kind of guest events and education and speakers in there? Can you be driving some of your best customers to come into some events that you host there? That's kind of a win-win, where you're hosting something with that retailer, tagging them and saying it's stocked there, but also getting to nurture some of your best clients as well. You're getting in front of those best clients, and you're able to get feedback with them. Honestly, the more you can nurture your best clients and your best customers, the better. It's a really powerful way to grow, because if bought from you once, they're more likely to buy from you again. And again, you really start to build that engagement. And that's where I see kind of building the hype for that brand as well. So again, I think it depends on which retailer it is, your product category. And again, yeah, come and join my mastermind and let's have a brainstorm. Cool, just go to the chat. Hello, Shim. Great to see where you are on your journey. Gabrielle. As a startup brand, how do I first approach the large retailers for wholesale? So I've got a whole training program on this, and it's a 4-part series. It's on my website, and I've got a code watch now, which you can access it for free. So definitely watch that. And then I also have a program about how to launch and pitch to retailers, which I will be running. Where you can actually access that program now, but I will run it as a live cohort in January as well. So there will be more webinars and content to come on that as well. So the link is on the website. Drop me an email and I can send it to you as well. But I do encourage you to come and join that program in January, and I'll be able to help you on that journey. We've had successes of brands launching Selfridges, Cult Beauty, Mecca in Australia, David Jones in Australia, Credo in the US, Selfridges, Harrods, some pharmacy chains. So yeah, I certainly recommend that for you. No, pleasure, Shim. That's good. Also good to listen to these as well, because you need to know what to prepare for in these sessions. Natalie, will this be an online course? So no, the mastermind will all be done live. It will be monthly group mentoring sessions. So all screens on, everybody there. It will be quarterly in-person strategy workshops. So kind of 2 or 3 hours where we get together, focus on one topic, brainstorm, give feedback, live strategy practice, juicy things like that. And also then we'll have that interactive messaging group that will be there for you to answer any questions, which I will be able to answer in between sessions. Anyone in the group will also be able to support. What I've found with these masterminds before is actually everyone else is trading with different retailers, and you can learn from people trading with different retailers, learn from others who are trading in different product categories, and maybe someone's been there and done that before. So actually the resources that and advice that other people can give are really, really valuable. So yes, some of the sessions will be online, but they'll be live, interactive, not pre-recorded, and yeah, then in person, and then that chat as well, which I think is the juiciest thing there is. Perfect. Okay, so I think that's all the questions. Are there any more there? Let me know. I can answer a couple more. But if not, we'll be sending a recording of this and sending the links to the mastermind. Please do drop me an email today if you'd like to take advantage of the super early bird and the extra bonus for joining live as well as that brand audit and strategy session. Too many S's there. And if not, I hope you've taken a lot away from today. I'd love for you to post on social media. I usually say this at the beginning and I forgot. Take a photo. Woo! Please post on social media what you thought of today, what your takeaways were, and tag me as well. And then it means that we can carry on a conversation on social media. It means that I know you've watched live. It means that I can look at you and follow you on your social media as well. I love seeing what you're up to and following everyone's journey as well. So I'd love to make sure I'm following you as well. Perfect. Quick questions just popped up. Nikki, Charles app. What does Charles app do? Sounds exciting. An app. Is there a funnel of brands that a retailer review at a quarterly basis? How do you engage buyers for young brands? Again, I've got a whole training program on this. So if you're pitching to them, yeah, they are getting probably 100 pictures a week. So it's really important that you are making sure your pitch is really succinct, really stands out, proves the commercial opportunity. Again, I've got a 2-hour training that helps you access it. The moment I've got a free code on. It's the pitch to buyers training that's on my website. So it's all about pitching, but it's also about making sure that you get recognition for your brand, so the buyer wants to contact you directly as well. That's the real sweet spot. Like I say, keep your eyes peeled because I'll be doing a whole program on this starting in January. Sounds like it will be the right one for you. Oh, we've got more questions coming in. Cool. Focus on, think about the next steps of the business. I look forward to jumping into your program when I'm ready to go down that road. Amazing. Perfect. Well, hopefully you can join the one in January. That sounds like the right one for you. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you all for joining live. I really appreciate it. Like I said, tag me on social media. Let me know your takeaways. And I will hopefully see you all soon. Bye.